Good afternoon to you and welcome to the local news. We're going to get you up to date with matters regarding the municipality of Mijas, and after this take a quick look at the weather and then some of the headlines in the Spanish press. We begin referring to yet another long name, which is reduced to PEPRI. We've been referring in previous days to the POT, the PGOU. In this case now, it still also affects the protection of land in Mijas. And what it is the special plan for the protection of the historic part of Mijas that could be approved finally in February. After the last report by the Junta de Andalucía, the regional government, which has valued this project positively. Other than two technical modifications, the regional government of Andalucía is just one step away from giving the green light to this special protection plan and for the catalogue of the historic centre of the Villa de Mijas, which is Mijas village. It's called El PEPRI, the PEPRI, and it's an instrument that helps to plan and order and develop the buildings in the historic part of Mijas village. The regional government has now sent us their evaluation of the document that we have drawn up with a series of technical qualifications. We won't go into detail because they are very technical and are two in particular. That report has been sent to the team that has drawn up the special plan, and right now the modifications are being finalised. This is Andrés Ruiz speaking, the Councillor for Town Planning in Mijas, and he has stated that after these corrections, the PEPRI will be finally approved in the plenary session of the month of February. And from that moment on, the residents of Mijas will be able to benefit from the main advantage, which is that it will be speeding up a lot of the procedures when requesting a building licence. Andrés Ruiz has gone on to explain this. To be able to carry out any type of building inside or outside a property, a report is required from the Delegation for Culture. With this special plan approved and reported to the Delegation for Culture, the sectorial reports will no longer be necessary. The Town Hall will be able to approve the licences. The approval of the special plan for the protection of Mijas will also mean the acknowledgement of the historic complex in Mijas village. As the types of building and town planning evolves, we have to protect the historic centre, adapting to the new times, but always respecting the single-family unit type of homes with 2 stories that are typical to Mijas village. The PEPRI, in fact, covers some 27,926 hectares in Mijas village and is a very necessary planning instrument in order to be able to maintain the historic part of the village. Continuing with other matters, referring to education now and the works that have been carried out by the Town Hall in many of the different schools over the Christmas break. And they have in fact carried out more than 20 different works, maintaining the schools over Christmas, the repair of elements in the common areas in the schools, and also the different furniture within the classrooms have also been repaired. And they've also been carrying out painting work. There is a team of workers that work within the Department for Education in the Mijas Town Hall who have carried out up to 26 different works to maintain these schools over Christmas, repairing between the 23rd of December and the 5th of January, which has coincided, of course, with the Christmas break. Above all, I want to highlight the large works to create areas of shade in the sports patio of the Maria Zambrano School. I also want to highlight the cooperation of the Torrenueva Parents Association in the Jardín Botánico School, who have given money towards the purchase of tiles for the dining room, and then Town Hall staff have tiled all that area, which is very large. Speaking here is Carmen Marquez, who is the Councillor for Education in the Mijas Town Hall. Most of these works have had to do with the repair of different elements within the common areas in the school, which include the painting works and also repairing bathrooms and other larger repair works also. A lot of work has also been done to repair the serious breakdown at the entrance to the García del Olmo school, where a number of municipal staff have also been working, and painting work has also been carried out during the school break, painting the sports pavilion, the interior hallways, etc. Some 20 workers from within the Department for Education have been carrying out these repair works. The staff, which is made up by 2 janitors and a maintenance technician, spend all the holiday breaks working at the 13 primary schools that we have, including the Entre Rios Rural School, which depends on the bishopric, and also, of course, the 2 infant schools and the municipal nurseries. Continuing with the repair of areas that are to be enjoyed by children, in this case the parks, and operative services have finished remodelling now an area of a play area within the park in La Cala and also in Las Lagunas. During the last week, municipal workers have replaced the floor, the protective flooring in some of the areas of the park, and have adapted it with a more modern surface for the children to play in safety.
We have been carrying out remodelling works on the rubber base at this children's playground to follow on the works in the children's parks in Mijas village, as in Las Lagunas, changing the rubber base with the guidelines as it was in disrepair. We are making it better for the youngsters.
Daniel Gomez Teruel is the man in charge, the coordinator for Parks and Gardens in the Mijas Town Hall, who has been explaining about the works they've been carrying out. And they have, in fact, complained from the Town Hall, saying that a lot of vandalic acts have taken place in the parks in the municipality.
The same day we were working on the rubber base, we had to report an act of vandalism, and we had to make a complete restoration. Once more, the local residents of Mijas suffer as a result of vandalism.
As well as the new flooring also, there have been signposts put up in the parks reminding owners that pets, dogs in this case, are not allowed into the children's areas. These works have had a municipal investment of €3,100 and are included within the municipal plan to remodel parks and gardens in Mijas. Continuing now with a report that's being created by the Council for Mobility and Transport, and they have created a group of workers that are analysing the accessibility of the municipality. Their job is to visit different areas in the 3 nuclei and elaborate a report so that then later operative services can go along and repair any of the problems that they find. In this group there are municipal experts, members of associations, and also a volunteer who himself actually suffers reduced mobility. And with this team, they are going around the different areas of the municipality and checking out just how accessible the municipality really is. We are creating working teams to improve accessibility throughout the municipality because we consider it convenient for us to detect them ourselves on the streets, and for then a municipal expert, Francis, who comes with us, as well as Sergio from the Mijas Cycling Association, and a citizen with mobility problems are the ones who really detect these. Speaking here, we have Nuria Rodriguez, who is the Councillor for Mobility and Transport in the Mijas Town Hall. The initiative has a clear objective, and this is to make Mijas a municipality that is accessible for all. For my council, it is very important for accessibility in the municipality to be available to all citizens. And when I say all, I am referring to any person with reduced mobility to be able to have access to busy places such as high schools, theatres, health centres, etc., with no problem on their own. Yesterday, the team visited the area of Doña Ermita, and there they did find some architectonic barriers, and this is something that's now going to be passed on to operative services so that they can go along and make it easier for everyone to move around. We're going to begin in Las Lagunas, going street by street, detecting the different deficiencies. We will draw up a report which will be sent to operative services, and they will be the ones to repair and resolve the problems and deficiencies. After the trip today they've been taking a stroll around the area of Avenida Miguel Hernández, and they will continue to do so throughout the whole of the municipality. Moving on now with the social council that is being created here in the municipality of Mijas. The different functions to be carried out by the members of the social council are now being profiled. Yesterday, representatives of all the political groups in the municipal corporation once again held a meeting to continue to give shape to this administrative organ that could begin to work in February. And the aim is to make the whole of the citizens of Mijas participative in the decisions taken by the municipal government. According to this second meeting with the spokespersons for all the different groups in the town hall for the creation of this social council in Mijas, yesterday, as mentioned, it was the second meeting, and they continue to decide exactly what work is to be carried out by each member of this group that will allow for the active participation of citizens in municipal politics. Andrés Ruiz, the councillor for town planning, explained a little how this is going. The meetings are being quite productive. A lot of work is being done, and we are accelerating the procedures to be able to put this into practice as soon as possible. If everything goes as planned, this should start in the plenary session in February. It should be approved, and the social council would now become a reality. They're studying how to channel the participation now of citizens and how the members will make up this new social council. Right now, we are working on the composition and are aiming to reach a consensus, and this will be achieved because there is very good predisposition on the part of all the political groups. The Social Council in Mijas is born or is created with the intention of making citizens participate in practically everything that has to do with local politics in the municipality. The Social Council will be made up by associations, professional groups, business persons, and even the consulates, with representatives of all of these, and therefore we also need a previous document in which we are working on with the regulations for citizen participation. Time for us to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Mijas is a step ahead with its quality tourism and exhibition offer. The Contemporary Arts Centre is a reality in our municipality, and Pablo Ruiz Picasso is the protagonist. Mijas Contemporary Arts Centre opens its doors with 86 artworks, of which 60 are from the most universally known artist from Malaga. Don't miss the exhibition of 43 ceramics from this genius of Cubism, the second most important collection in the world. Now you have another great reason to visit Mijas. Mijas SEMANAL, all the latest news of the week in the municipality.
Welcome back to our local news. Welcome if you're tuning in on 107.7 FM on Radio Mijas. And a quick warning here also that we have for some days now not been able to upload the programs on the internet, as it has been difficult to get onto the menu. We are actually working on this right now, and we'll inform you as soon as it is possible. Meanwhile, we do continue, however, to upload the news on the Facebook International page. Having said this, moving on now with the Association of Residents of Riviera Riviera del Sol, which was constituted just less than a year ago, and they have wanted to make the public aware of their proposals and projects facing the improvement in services in the urbanization Riviera del Sol. Presently, there are 200 members in this association. It is constituted, or was constituted, according to the president, Arturo Gámez, when the urbanization was in a situation where it was suffering a lot of different problems and all sorts of different problems, which he says they do continue to exist. And among these, they highlight the lack of management and of services in Riviera del Sol. One of the objectives now of this association is to achieve what they call a municipal reception. And Arturo Gámez, the president of this association, tells us a little bit more.
We want to achieve a municipal reception of Riviera del Sol. A legal term, urban. The urbanisation is private, charged with the support of the community expenditure, sending it to the council, etc., and supporting the local residents, organising the community environment.
Most of the projects are actually centred on the matter of the services also and the quality of life of the residents in Riviera del Sol. They are demanding also that there be more urban transport in the area and also school transport.
Of education, we want more transport. For example, transport to schools, more inland, more to the north of Riviera del Sol. We want this to start.
We also had a chance to speak with the Vice President of the Riviera del Sol Neighbours Association, Maite Martín.
We don't want to lose contact with the people. At the moment we have an office. We have many projects that we want to carry out. We want the local residents to know about this and to exchange opinions, to carry out activities. We're here for all the residents. They can put forward their needs.
From Riviera del Sol we go to poetry, because this evening, in fact, from 6 p.m, there will be a new gathering by the Círculo Poético Patio de Ensueño. These are in Spanish, these gatherings, but if you do speak a little bit, it will be today, Thursday, 14th of January, at the Pensioners Centre in Las Lagunas, and everyone will be going along to read their best poems. Everyone that enjoys poetry is invited to this appointment, and the objective is to recite and to listen to poems. And these can either be by other authors or written by yourself. In these gatherings, they discover new authors, they express feelings and also develop creativity. And so therefore, remember today from 6 p.m. at the Pensioners Centre in Las Lagunas. We have more poetry, however, because as well as the Las Lagunas event, poets can also participate in the first contest of poetry organised by Bar El Niño. This is up in Mijas Village. You have until the 28th of January to hand in your creations at the Folk Museum or at the municipal libraries. The 20th of February will be the day when we get to know the winner of this cultural activity. There will be prizes in money, in cash, for the 3 best valued works. First prize €200, second €100, and third €50. And the themes are of free choice. Time to take a look at our weather, and it looks like we're continuing with the spring-like weather. We were expecting for today 14th, 19 degrees, and it's definitely fulfilled our expectations. Tomorrow, 15th of January, 18 will be the maximum, fully clear skies, and 11 the minimum. Let's look at the Spanish press, beginning with a couple from the El País newspaper. A reminder that you can pick up on all these news items on the online editions of El País, and if you scroll down, you'll find that they do have on the side an option to read the articles, not all of them, but many of the most important in English. We've chosen a couple from the El País today in English. Carles Puigdemont on Tuesday became the first Catalan premier to take office without swearing allegiance to the Spanish king or the constitution. constitution. The Catalan House Speaker, Carme Forcadell, a nationalist like Puigdemont, bypassed the protocol and allowed the new leader to allude simply to the will of the Catalan people as represented in the parliament. It was not the only snub to King Felipe VI at a ceremony that underscored the profound rift between Madrid and the Catalan government. El País also has a more international article, but which definitely affects Spain, and it's referring to the fact that Iran is planning to participate in the building of an oil refinery in Spain as part of an overall strategy to guarantee overseas sales of its own crude. Iran's deputy oil minister said this at the weekend. Abbas Kazemi was quoted in local media as saying that the project is still at the negotiation stage, but that the plant would have the capacity to refine around 200,000 barrels of crude per day and would be financed by both Spanish and Iranian investors. We come much closer to home with our third item. It's in the Opinión newspaper. As you know, there are 3 training schools for the hotel and restaurant industry. These are La Fonda, La Consula, and here in Mijas, the CIO Mijas. It did seem that originally the Fonda and the Consula were able to continue with their training courses, but the Opinión is telling us that they have now publicly announced that they have stopped the training courses until they receive the funds that they require from the Junta de Andalucía, the regional government, that right now there are just 29 euros in the accounts of these training schools in Malaga. And from lack of work or lack of training, at least a slightly more optimistic news item to finish our news today. The Sur is announcing that Oracle has announced a recruitment campaign in Europe, the Middle East and Africa to hire 1,400 new sales professionals who play a key role in promoting business growth on the cloud company in the region. The recruitment campaign includes the headquarters of Malaga in Spain, where Oracle will invest in the creation of 100 new jobs. The rest of the new hires will take place in 5 other locations: Amsterdam, Cairo, Dubai, Dublin and Prague. So that's 100 posts that will be coming up in Malaga to work in the Oracle headquarters. With this, we'll say goodbye for today. Tomorrow is, of course, Friday. You'll have the Mijas SEMANAL on the streets first thing in the morning, and we'll be back, of course, with plenty more news for you also. Coming up next is Karen with the interview section. See you tomorrow.
Welcome to the interview section of Mijas International. My guest today on the programme is Dr. David Dearden, and he is the general surgeon consultant, and that's at Gibraltar and on the Costa del Sol as well. Now, Dr. David Dearden is the medical advisor to the charity Positively Pink, who provide the free screenings for breast cancer. As it's World Cancer Day on the 4th of February, we've chosen the topic of breast cancer and colonic disease as well. So I'm pleased to welcome Dr. David Dearden. Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
And yes, taking time out of your busy agenda there to
Not a
talk to
problem.
us.
Very pleased.
Yes, we're going to, I mean, yourself, you're a consultant general surgeon for general surgery, weight loss, breast disease, and also colonic disease, varicose veins, amongst other things. But as I was saying to the viewers, we're just going to concentrate on the two, which is the breast cancer and colonic disease.
Absolutely.
Now, Positively Pink themselves in La Cala de Mijas do offer a free screening. You offer the medical advice for that. You're the advisor for the screenings. And to perhaps just look at some of the data, they're saying that 1 in 9 women will develop breast cancer, and that it is sort of increasing in younger girls as well.
Breast cancer obviously is the biggest fear of most women, and sadly it is increasing. The incidence is increasing, and therefore it's really important that women are aware of this. And the most important thing that women can do is regularly self-examine their breasts. We don't know why it's increasing, but there are a lot of theories. Clearly, genetic inherited breast disease is something we all know about. Angelina Jolie, for instance, the high-profile celebrities have had prophylactic surgery for this type of cancer, but it's relatively rare generally. The more common form of mutation or cancer mutation is just sporadic. And there are a lot of trends, but we don't have any sort of hard and fast data, really. We know that, for instance, obesity, smoking are 2 factors which do increase the risk of breast cancer. We also know that exposure to estrogens is an important factor. So people who take the oral contraceptive pill for a long period of time, people who take HRT for a long period of time, and people who are exposed to estrogens generally. Now, one of the interesting theories is that because women are taking the oral contraceptive pill, the byproducts of that are passed into the urine, passes into the water system, gets filtered through the water purification systems. And there are some people that believe that increases the estrogen in the water we drink, and that may be a factor as well. So there are many, many reasons, and one has to look at this as a very interesting area of epidemiological study. The key thing is for a woman is to be aware that as an individual, their risk, as you say, is increasing, and that every woman is different. And the best way that a woman can actually detect breast cancer or a change in the breast is to examine the breast regularly. And so part of what Positively Pink does is it teaches every woman that comes how to do that properly.
Okay.
The second thing is we provide gold standard imaging screening, most commonly mammography. That is the most effective form of screening currently.
And so painful too.
I know,
I'm sure it puts women off going.
I'm glad men don't have screening.
No.
But the issue is really that mammography is the most cost-effective and best way of doing it. People talk about ultrasound. That can be used in younger women who've not had children or have denser breasts and smaller breasts. But in large-breasted women, ultrasound is not powerful enough to penetrate the depth of the breast. The X-rays and the mammogram actually do give us good pictures. And as long as it's done properly and seen by a qualified specialist radiologist, and in the UK now, every mammogram is seen by 2 radiologists, just in case something's missed. MRI screening or MRI scans are used at the moment as a backup if there's an abnormality found. And I guess probably in 10, 15, 20 years' time, maybe less, MRI will become more and more of a screening tool.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Less painful for you ladies.
Yes, less painful.
Absolutely.
And just thinking of sort of the different types of screenings, how often do you think a person should have a screening?
Screening is when you look at government-funded screening programs, there's a balance between cost for value or money for value for money. So in the UK, it's every 3 years, and that occurs from about 47 upwards. Arguably, if you could be screened every year, that's good. But, of course, X-rays are not good for you, so you have to weigh up the risk of the X-ray to the benefit. And that's why I go back to the fact that every woman who examines their breast once a month is going to be the best screening program. And I always tell the ladies to actually examine their breasts on the day of their birthday. So if your birthday's on the 6th of June, on the 6th of each month, examine your breast. Because you'll remember that date.
Yes, that's true.
What you should try and do also is try and examine your breast around the same time, the same part of your menstrual cycle. So I realise that some people's cycles are not 28 days, they fluctuate. But use that as a guideline, then you won't forget to do it.
Okay, thank you, thanks. And we're moving on to colonic disease. Now, they're saying that it's often found in people above the age of 60, but it's also being found in younger people as well, isn't it? The same, really.
There's two, broadly speaking, there are two types of, well, not two types, there's one type of bowel cancer, but two sort of types of disease. We have inherited disease. So people with lots of polyps, there's a condition called familial polyposis, where people have hundreds of polyps in their colon. They're at risk of developing bowel cancer. People with things like ulcerative colitis are also at risk of developing bowel cancer. And so it's really important that people who have these conditions are monitored and screened and seen on a regular basis by a gastroenterologist or someone like myself who sees them and checks them. And that may involve regular screening, colonoscopies or other tests. But there's another group of people, again like breast cancer, where people develop the disease for no obvious reason, no family inherited risk. And in bowel cancer, it's very similar to breast cancer. The inherited factors are less obvious to see. It does tend to run in families, but we haven't found such a strong link apart from the polyposis type conditions that I mentioned earlier. So bowel cancer is probably the most common, it is the most common cancer in the UK at the moment, and we're talking about 40,000 new cases per year being diagnosed in the UK.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
and a lifetime risk, you know, alarmingly, about 1 in 20 people will develop bowel cancer in their lifetime.
In their lifetime, really. Is there sort of anything, you know, there's risk factors, obviously. Would somebody who's a heavy smoker have a risk factor?
Smoking is certainly a factor. There's certainly a link between people smoke and people develop bowel cancer. Being over the age of 60, as you said, is also a factor, and that's why the screening programs in the UK now are targeted at over 60s. But there's a trend now to actually start offering this screening a bit earlier, 55s, with using colonoscopy rather than the stool blood tests. Eating a lot of red meat and processed food is also a factor. Constipation is a factor. Obesity is another factor. Alcohol consumption, and as I said, the family history. So those factors are all things that we would look into with our when we're talking to a patient.
When you're talking to the patient. Yeah.
But anybody who presents over the age of 40 with blood in the stool needs to see a doctor, and we do need to actually assess that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the screening is one thing, but you can take yourself to the doctor if you have abdominal pain, a change in bowel habit with or without blood, unexplained weight loss, just generally feeling unwell, and this is often how people present.
So with the colon cancer, the symptoms are quite diverse, really, aren't they?
They're vague. They are vague. I mean, abdominal pain, yes. Changing in the bowel habit, a persistent change in the bowel habit, you know, it becomes looser or more constipated. That is a factor that you'd take along to your doctor. If you see blood, definitely. Really, those are the main changes.
And if detected earlier, is there a strong survival rate for colon disease?
Early diagnosis leads to more chance of survival, certainly. Currently, if you have bowel cancer, you have about a 90% chance of surviving 1 year, but you have a 50% chance of surviving 10 years. That's all figures put together. And the people who don't survive the 10 years are often the ones that are more advanced when they're picked up. So we know that bowel cancer starts in a polyp, a little growth in the lining of the bowel wall. That there is a mutation of the cells in the mucosa of the bowel, and that then develops into a cancer, which slowly grows. Now, if you find that mutation or that change when it's 1 or 2 centimeters and it's still as a polyp and it hasn't grown into the bowel wall, then the chances of survival are 90% plus. If, however, it's actually invaded through the bowel wall and actually into the muscle of the bowel and into the lymph nodes around the bowel, then, of course, the chances of curing that are much less.
Okay. So, you know, watch out for symptoms, watch your diet, exercise, I would imagine, regular
Exercise, I forgot to mention that exercise is an associated risk factor. So sedentary lifestyle, you know, too much beer, too much, you know, being overweight, doing no exercise. These are all factors. Constipation is a byproduct of these things, and if you think about it, if the waste products of digestion are in contact with the lining of the bowel for a long period of time, as in someone who's constipated, any carcinogens that we've consumed or eaten from our diet, any chemicals that we've eaten, will be in contact with the bowel lining for longer, and therefore, of course, there's more of a chance that they may have a negative effect on the cells.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
And of course, you actually, as we were saying before, are the medical advisor for Positively Pink, and people can get in touch with you through them as well, can't they?
They can, certainly. Yeah. So, yes, keep a check and let us know, and go and see your doctor. Some simple tests can be done to look for blood in the stools, and sometimes people go straight to telescopes, to colonoscopy studies to check things. Okay. So, yeah, it's the way forward.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And that's all for this afternoon on Mijas International. And don't forget that you can catch up with all the latest local news with Gabby Ray at the same time tomorrow, and the interview section with myself, Karen McMahon. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Mijas International, and Radio Mijas 107.7 FM. Hasta mañana.